Hey guys, it's Theo here with Tight Nutrition, and today we're going to be going over one of our other fundamental movement patterns, which is going to be your hip hinge swing. Now, this movement is commonly seen in real life when you're doing anything like picking up groceries or picking up your kids. It's very important to have the movement right, that we kind of reduce the risk of injuries and also can have good technique for a long run with the movement. Make sure most of the movement is coming from your actual hips. The main muscles are going to be engaged are going to be your glutes maximus, your hamstrings, and then also your spinae or your lower back muscles a little bit too. Now, a common thing when people do this, they try to round the spine a little bit. So to pick something up, we're not engaging the core at all, we're just simply rounding the spine, trying to reach forward and reach as far as we can. What we want to do instead is to be intentional with the movements, so that way we're actually getting a good amount of hinging. So this actual joint right here is your hinge. So you want to act as if you're actually sending or being karate chopped in the hips and being sent back. And then this movement comes from maximal hip flexion with minimal knee flexion. So it's kind of the opposite, so it's similar to a squat, but a little bit different, because you're getting a lot more flexion here on the hips, but a little minimal more in the knees. So think about it this way. I'm sending my hips straight back, coming forward. This puts my spine in a much more neutral position. If I'm just trying to reach forward, my spine's gonna be rounded fully. So we wanna try and avoid that, making sure we're keeping everything nice and tight, and you're gonna feel it stretch. So as your hamstrings are stretching, glutes stretching, it's actually contracting as well, which keeps it nice and stable. So if you do have access to a band, absolutely wonderful, or even something to kind of hook up against, you can just wrap it around simply. What I like to do is, it's gonna have tension pulling you back this way, which is, and you're gonna place it right over that hip joint. And what this is gonna do is, as you kind of lean forward and bring your chest down, it forces your hips to go back. Now if you go with it, your knees should stay minimally bent, and your hips are pushed all the way back here. And you'll feel a good stretch in your hamstrings. That's when you know you're actually doing this properly. Good stretch in the hamstrings, your lower back is fine, and you're keeping your core engaged to help you level out your spine and keep it nice and straight. If not, what will happen is, again, we'll go back to the old habits of just leaning forward and rounding the spine. But really think about pushing. You can even push your hands here, and as you come into your, bring up your pinky, as you reach hips back, your upper thigh and your lower abs are almost encasing your fingers, so they're kind of hiding in that hip joint, and then bringing them forward again. That's one way to kind of try it out. Now, if you haven't got access to a band or anything to kind of put it against, if you've got a simple desk or chair, something you can use to kind of help stabilize yourself and you do this, also a good option. So one thing we do here is stand nice and tall against the surface that we're leaning on for stability and support. From here, you can simply just shift the hips back, and again, just to support you. In case you don't fall or anything like that too. Putting weight back on the heel and then coming forward again. So that full range of motion is always going to come from shifting the hips all the way back to stabilize you. Minimal knee flexion again, maximal hip flexion. Now, a common exercise that does use a good hip hinge is going to be your Romanian deadlift. Now, if you notice, every maybe doing the deadlift, the Romanian deadlift, that your back starts to hurt quite a bit. Now, two things can happen. Of course, you're trying to reach too far forward, and you're keeping the weight away from you, and your back's running out. So, using that, what we just talked about, the hip hinge, we're keeping the weight very close to us. We're initiating the movement from the hips by driving the hips back, and the weight down, keeping the core tight. My knees bent minimally, but my hips, oh, they're flexed. And my hamstrings are on fire right now. So come up again. All right, guys, if you do have dumbbells, it's a great way to practice the hip hinge as well. Just set the weights in front of your legs so you're standing up nice and straight. And then from there, same concept, bringing the hips back, keeping most of your weight on that heel, run the weight down your legs, about half across your shin, and then come up again. Alright, that's it for today's video. Make sure you follow myself and Tight Nutrition. If you didn't catch my last video about the squats, make sure you go check that out too on our YouTube channel and our Instagram page. And I'll catch you guys on the next video. See ya.